for a post-mortem. But let us have this verbatim. According to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, directed the Committee of Education and Sports and Committee on Public Service and of Government, joint examine the issues arising from the recruitment process. Anything that is going on in the Ministry of Education and the Education Service Commission of recruitment of teachers before exhausting this matter here is null and void. And that is the concept of Parliament. So let us know that what we are doing is going to determine what will take place. I'm on the procedure matter, no minister. You know, we came together and we are trained very well about how to run Parliament and procedures. So I would request whether the procedure will inform these members that what we are doing is not a post-mortem. And if anything goes on, if there's any recruitment that has taken place, it's null and void. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that. As co-chair, I will advise that we, honorable member, can we have some order? Thank you. Please, thank you. The question I am putting, yes, Parliament gave directive to the two committees, and the Committee on Education and Sports is taking a lead role in this. The fact that this is directly under your docket. But we can only know whether they stop any process or whether they are continuing, only if they are able to explain to us. So we need to know what is going on, whether they suspended the process, whether they have been going ahead with the process. We cannot assume. So let us hear from the ministry and get to understand. Finally, Honorable Minister, yesterday, one of the petitioners, actually about 2-3 of them, hinted that the advert you send out, especially for classroom teachers, you indicated the subjects where one can apply depending on their areas of their subject areas. Yeah. And you indicated about 16 different subjects, and I'm using the advert. Unfortunately, some of the schools were taking subjects that are not included in the list you provided. And some of the students are already in senior 3. And these are students who have been going through the processes using the curriculum you have now. And you know what it takes every time they have to, the assessment processes, and they have to. So what are you going to do with these students? Let's look at the same school that has 1,000 students. The senior 3 or senior 2 who have been taking subjects that you have not indicated. How are you going to deal with that? Those are the areas I wanted to observe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mapenduzi.
And to begin with my statement, and I want to refer us to the paragraph which is very famous, which is on page 3. As we discuss these issues, we have to appreciate that government is under obligation to have the schools open with effective 3rd of February 2025. Colleagues, I can also refer to my statement I read in the floor of Parliament. And if some of you were there, I was very candid, and I want to repeat that we are discussing the subject matter of the recruitment of head teachers and deputy head teachers under the gov't schools. And our answers and responses are based on that, because the statement I read was based on gov't schools in line with the advert which the Commission read out. I remember I appealed to Parliament to really also, in reference with Article 168, under the functions of the Education Service Commission of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. It is on the Hansard. The reason why I appealed to Parliament was that all of us saw an oath to protect and to defend this Constitution. And I can read it verbatim. Specifically, clause 2. In the exercise of its functions, the Commission shall be independent and shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. So, friends, to answer this, I want to say this the following. The Commission is going ahead with the recruitment of the head teachers and the deputy head teachers. That's in affirmative.
Now, just a moment. Honourable Minister, for me, let me give informal information. That, first of all, we are going to receive the Education Service Commission here. And I'm sure they went and collected these forms. But now there is that Kampala KCCA where they are doing recruitment. So the others, I think they have not started. So maybe there is room for us to have a win-win. But they are coming here and they will tell us.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say this.
Okay, let's hear from you.
Mr. Chairman, let's see the Constitution in the isolation of other articles within the Constitution. These people have pertinent clauses, articles of the Constitution they raised. And there is no interference whatsoever by this committee and the Parliament over the work of the Education Service Commission. But we are doing our oversight function. Secondly, once there is an issue within the recruitment and is raised, you see, one thing you are forgetting, Honourable Minister, is that Honourable Mukasa, in his submission here, even stated the funds that we are given. These funds are not for all the teachers teaching. They are for those coming in. This is the money he gave. Secondary school, 125 billion. He talked about primary health, what? 47 billion. So anything, and I want to assure you, we are not interfering, but any recruitment going on by Education Service Commission before exhausting a petition in the Parliament will not suffice.
Okay.
Because I have not yet got a chance to give my issues here.
Yeah, but you are coming in last. You are a shadow minister.
So, but I would like to inform him
it is okay,
that let us be clear on this, that the Committee of Parliament, local government, and the three committees are not interfering under Article 168 of the Constitution. Because even that committee, that service commission appears before us.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a clarification?
Minister of Education, we are looking.
Honourable Chair, in view of the submissions from the Honourable Minister that there is already recruitment process ongoing, are we proceeding well with whatever we are doing when our recommendations will be overtaken by events, when we have other things that we can do? Because the minister has been very clear. We are interrogating, we are trying to investigate the circumstances. The minister is telling you that this has already happened, is ongoing, and now, Honourable Minister, we are here, Honourable Chair, we are here pretending that we are addressing the issues, which issues will be overtaken by events, unless the Honourable Minister informs us. Yes, have already been overtaken by events. The minister has been very clear. But one thing I want to point out is, no institution in Uganda is independent. No institution in Uganda is independent. And like my land friend was quoting, you cannot say that the commission is independent, cannot be interfered. We are not interfering. There are issues that have been raised. And as Parliament, we have got a duty.
You have made your point.
So my point to Chair is, are we proceeding well?
Yes.
In view of the submissions by the Honourable Minister that the process is already going on?
According to the Chair, we are proceeding very well until we get the other body. Two, the minister's assertion that interference, Education Service Commission has been coming here for their budget. Have we been interfering? The answer is no. So I know this committee will get, or these committees will get a solution, and we shall present it.
There is a clear distinction between the definition of a seed school by the ministry, which in their interpretation is a school that has not been existing. That is in their interpretation. A seed school has not been existing. But now we are talking about schools that have been existing but have not been government aided. Let us have a distinction between the two. And to me, if the recruitment going on is for the schools that have not been existing, I think they are right. They can go ahead. But if we are talking about schools that have been existing but not grant aided and maybe have got an opportunity and now being grant aided, then we can say, let's hold on a bit. Because if you see also in the minister's admission, it's very clear. The so-called seed schools are supposed to be schools that have not been there. And that is what the recruitment is about. But what we are doing here is only to say that for the schools that have been existing, but now, by good luck, are going to be grant aided, and that is where now we are saying, please, government, let's have some consideration for people who have already been there. And for me, my submission now is to make sure there is that distinction between totally new and schools that have been existing. So that is where my point is.
Maybe wait a minute before we proceed. When I raised the other question to the Honorable,
To answer on the question related to what Honorable Gov't has raised.
But before that, Mr. Chairman,
I want to appreciate the views of all the members, particularly on the worry that we are just doing post-mortem here. Chair, some of us have been around on this committee, and particularly on the Committee of Education and Sports. This is not the first time, Chair, where we are going to see the contempt of Parliament by Minister of Education. Why we are worried is that when we had the issue of the discriminatory salary enhancement, as members of committee, as Parliament, we rejected that enhancement. But the ministry went ahead and did it. That is the first clarity that I want to give, concept that I want to give. Secondly, the issue of the lower secondary curriculum. As Education Committee, we sat in various engagements. We resolved that we should first prepare the house. Ministry went ahead and implemented. That is the second content, and now they are stuck. When they get stuck, that's when they begin to come back to the Parliament. Thirdly, if I can tell you, the issue of elimination of the comprehensive nursing, before even Parliament resolved it, they had gone ahead and implemented their own decision. So, Chair, when we are seated here and members are saying that we are doing post-mortem, I think I want to agree with them. I have been in Ministry of Education as a teacher for 20 years. And when we met in Kololo, I presented to the senior minister the 16 cancers killing education system. When we look at some of these inconsistencies, we really feel the pain because Ministry of Education sometimes acts as if this committee is useless.
Okay, now you have made that point.
I therefore want to say...
Let's stick to the petition.
Okay, as we now come to the petition, Chair, why we are saying we are just doing post-mortem, when you look at the details of the advert, there is no distinction between recruitment in the city secondary schools and for the other schools. But it is just the same advert which they are going ahead to implement, and that's why I'm really confirming that we are just here doing post-mortem, because Ministry of Education has ever misbehaved in those lines.
First of all, let me inform the Honourable Minister here. Your statement of beginning of the term on the 3rd is not an issue about recruitment. Let us clear this, Mr. Chairman. Honourable members, And there are 3-member committees, the committees here. You see, the genesis of this problem is on the advert, it was number 4, relevant documents included, pay slip of at least 6 months before the closing date of admission. Mr. Minister, I want to inform you this. These people, the petitioners, gave very substantial legal issues here. Among them, and Senior Mutembuli will help you on this, they gave you Article 21 of the Constitution, they gave you Article 41B of the Constitution, they gave you Article 31(2) of the Constitution, they gave you Section 6 of the Labour Employment Act of 2006, plus a case, Judith Naruja versus Mukono District Government, Labour Dispute Reference Number 056 of 2018. They also came to Uganda National Sport and others. What is happening here? I want to assure you, once Parliament gets a petition, once we receive a petition, definitely that matter must be exhausted conclusively by the relevant committee before you take a decision. And I am informing you frankly, Honourable Minister, you are saying you will appear with the Education Service Commission here. You will not appear because the invitation is not made by you to this committee. It is made by the chair and the clerk. So for us, when we are meeting Education Service Commission, we do what?
I thought
we as a committee, Mr. Chairman,
the brief one is done. Let's proceed.
I want to end with this. I want to end with this. You know, the Honourable Minister stated he gave allegations of corruption and irregular practices by these teachers. And as a committee, we were waiting for the minister to come and appear here, say it, head teacher ABCD, but that's not even our work. Once you open up for these people, it is the Education Service Commission that is recruiting and interviewing this, that will have to table all evidence against its clients who appear before them. That say, oh yes, you have been a teacher in city school AB, but we have record you are raping children. This is the evidence against you. We have record you drink from morning up to night. These are the pictures. So that's not our work. So for us, the committee's work here is to see how all those people who qualify are open. They call the advert is open for them. They go and meet for the applications. If they don't meet the requirements, then they don't qualify. Okay. It's like, lastly, Mr. Chairman, it's like them saying that for us, I have a head teacher, but I don't qualify. I have a diploma, but they want degrees. Those ones don't qualify. You are just pulled out. But it means, Honourable Minister Ogwang, you are coming here trying to bring an implication that for you are going ahead before the committee. That is absolute contempt of Parliament. And we shall not go back to the Speaker to say that now let us sit again. This committee will make a recommendation stopping you if you do recruit any teacher in these schools outside our recommendation. Your recruitment will be null and void.
Okay, Honorable Soy.
Number 2, are the applicants supposed to be Ugandans? Number 3, is government having the ownership of these schools? In simple terms, do they have the titles? Another question, do you also act or recruit for foundation bodies? If so, to what extent? Honorable Ministers, is it true, as the saying goes, that wise men come from the east, and therefore it was prudent for the Ministry and Education Service Commission to do an advert of recruiting head teachers and deputy head teachers so that at least they can be posted to other sub-regions in order to impart knowledge to them? So,
is that all?
So thank you so much, Chair.
I'm here, sir. Yes, Honorable Mutembuli, then Honorable.
Chair, we shouldn't just take things for granted. as a chairperson, you have the powers, and as a committee, we have the powers to order that if there is any recruitment going on, must be stopped immediately. Because if they proceed, then that will be in contempt of whatever we are doing. Chair, we should make that directive, should make that order, so that the minister leaves well knowing that the committee has pronounced itself on the issue of ongoing recruitment process.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Chair, thank you. That UGIF, they have managed very well. Let us be first objective enough. That I must appreciate officially, Ministry of Education, for well managing the UGIF project. We need to give credit where it's due. And I've come here that we should continue in that spirit. That they have done so well on UGIF and city schools. And I've come that we should proceed on that good note. One, I just had a concern. The minister raised a pertinent issue, the page 3, which I want to answer. Page 3, it is very true that the assumption was that the city schools are brand new schools. And it is also true. But there's a new truth that you should also know. That these new schools are superimposed on old schools in some occasions. For example, in my district, I have a direct secondary school. I'm paying 18 students there. I've been paying for the last 5 years. 18 students in a Rex secondary school. Now, according to this definition, you can see the clash. You can see the clashes of what is right. All these things are right. Means that you are right, the community is also right. That the city schools are new schools. But surprisingly, some of them, most of them are superimposed on the old schools. Now that they are superimposed, that's why we need to move from where we are to come to a middle point. I think the ministry should also move, the community should also move, and we meet in the middle. Because we are all correct. Now that we are all correct, then let us agree. Secondly, I think all of us are in this country. All of us, not parable. I've told you that these schools, they are not brand new. My positions are clear, Chair.
No, leave him. Let him conclude.
I'm proceeding. My positions are clear. That there are teachers in these ongoing schools. That's what I mean. There are already teachers in these ongoing schools upon which the city schools are imposed. There are teachers already teaching. That's what I'm saying.
I think the word imposed is not proper. These two have agreed. They are not imposed. But go ahead and conclude.
They are brand new on all the schools. The city schools are brand new on all the schools, ongoing schools. That's what I'm saying. I'm bringing a very pertinent issue. That's why I'm called upon that we need to adjust. There could be standing orders, there could be regulation, this must have this qualification. But let's not forget that the assumption is that these are new. It is true. But they are new superimposed on all the ongoing schools. Now, now, there are people whom they impose the city school on them. The city school is sitting on all the teachers, ongoing teachers. And the definition is saying the schools are new. The buildings are new on the old school, on the old school. so it brings.
Okay. Honorable Fromlo, I think you have made your point. Let's hear from Honorable Watkins and then we conclude. What?
And already on our records, even here we have records from public service.
We are all right.
You see, let us put it clear.
We are all right.
Public service says.
Honorable Atkins.
Important interface. We are the representatives of the people. The communities and the people affected are the people that will represent. And a representation is a constitutional role, constitutional duty, constitutional responsibility, and a constitutional obligation. Mr. Chairperson, sir, we want to be crystal clear, and I take offense in anybody that says Parliament is advisory. What we're doing is a post-mortem. Come on. This is a constitution office, constitutional institution. We want to be very clear to the minister and the ministers
public service and education service, education. From today going forward, that advertisement that you put in the papers is halted. And by the way, to the attention of everybody in the House, the Speaker of Parliament, who received the petition from the petitioners and assigned us to execute this mandate, and that constitutional seat directed that the advertisement be halted. And for us to do something to the contrary will be, undermining the leadership, the constitutional leadership of this very institution. So it should be crystal clear, Mr. Chairperson, that advertisement, now negotiable, is hereby or going forward halted. We cannot be everywhere. We need to take a position, and that has to be our position. And very lastly, the submission, because the ministers were not here when we got the visitors.
So, Honorable Watkins just now raised direct questions. Public service here, education, local government, and Kampala. Just.
Unless they are waiting for...
While you are aware, those issues were raised, but still you can...
Yes, unless they are ready to be charged with the concept of Parliament, and we will begin just right from this committee. Any minister that goes ahead and takes a contradictory position from what the leadership, right from the constitutional leadership of this institution has already taken, and also reinforced by the relevant committees, you will be held. I hope the ministers are listening.
They are all listening, very attentively.
You'll be held personally accountable. And please, don't try our patience. Don't try our patience. We're here. Yes, our patience has been depleted, and we're ready to take action on whoever.
Okay.
So I really appreciate Mr. Chairperson. I think the duties upon everybody on this committee and upon the leadership of this constitutional institution. The voices have been very clear. To begin with, the advertisement halted. Okay. And you remember, Mr. Chair, to accommodate the views and grievances that came all over the country as they relate to this particular petition. So PSs for the two ministries, education and public service, take note. The minister won't be there to save you. That is a crystal clear position.
Okay,
take that seriously. Thank you.
How was this problem of corruption as alleged in your statement to Parliament, and how did it affect the recruitment of sitting teachers? I want you to throw light. Now, the other one, does the minister have any evidence of corruption or irregularities in the recruitment of the sitting teachers? If so, we require that information provided. Then the other one is what checks and balances are put in place in order to prevent corruption in the future recruitment process. Now, the other issue I wanted to observe, first of all, about corruption. Yesterday, the petitioners told us that there are numbers calling them, and purportedly being from Ministry of Education and the Education Service Commission. I have these numbers, and I will share them with you, that you either use your public relations officers to dispel this of about 5 numbers that you can also use, extracted them from those people. Now, Minister of Public Service, this committee went to the rural areas, something to do with that, and there was a recommendation that they are hard to reach areas. Now, I'm going to quote schools. In Pakwachi, they returned over 700 million shillings. Arua was over 800. Nebi, And we got teachers. In Pawar, I think there were only 6 teachers. So that's why we need to have a hybrid for these hard to reach areas. Is it really a fashion that this money is returned and then the services are not provided? It is very common in all these hard to reach areas. Also, the issue of land, I think, has now brought problems here. Honorable Ministers, could we be putting in the factor of land that the government should purchase the land and says we have planted a seed here? So this ping pong we are having is because somebody is holding to the land and you are holding to your buildings. Yes?
Mr. Chairman, on the point that you have just talked about, hard to reach, county is always grilling them for bringing back money.
For returning the money.
Which money is sent there, and you people don't want to deploy the people who are supposed to be utilizing that money. So for how long are they going to continue explaining about this money, returning this money?
So that's why, because all our members, what we should notice is that every district has its money for wage. And where instances where we have schools like a Pawar and there's money in Arua district, and public service sometimes has been putting a ban, but that is the reality. We need 31 schools, only 6 on site. The money is there, so who is to blame? So let's be very realistic that as we handle these matters of education vis-a-vis staffing. Now, the other issue about somebody is given a grace period in a given hard to reach area, and there are sanctions. So if these members transfer freely, I think we should now be touching the human resource. This person is supposed to be here for 3 years. Well, how come that he left power runs in Kampala? So, Honorable Minister, maybe that is something we should do. Because people go to get an entry point, then they all congest here. So, Honorable Minister, I would like to request you,
Mr.
just
Chairman,
a moment. I have not put a
can you
full stop.
permit me?
I would like, just a moment, Honorable Minister. Honorable
Mr.
Minister.
Chairman, first of all,
I have not put a full stop. I haven't. I haven't put a full stop. Honorable Minister, you will intervene. I just wanted to ensure that we look for solutions in that and fair. Rather than being very academic, let's try to be very practical on both sides. Now, Honorable Karubanga wants to introduce himself. Can you do that in 1 second?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Karubanga Jacob Atenyi is my name.
Kasa stated on 2.6. He says, Honorable Chair and members, why the Ministry of Public Service has no objection to giving priority to those who are already volunteering or being paid locally by the community in city schools. Our guidance is that the laid down procedures for appointment, including the qualification requirements, should not be compromised. And he lists all the requirements which are by the Public Service Standing Order. And in his good submission that the minister should take care of, he reveals the money available. The money available is not already spent. It is for new recruits. And I thank Madam Ferom Catholic here, the PS for public service. So, that's just a simple.
That is off record.
So, it's off record. So, as Honourable Minister, you come in, and as I conclude on that, pay key attention, because public service must have taken.
But Honorable Song, you said a brief one, and
it is a brief, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So, because here, I'm using evidence attached. These people on Annex 6, by to Mr. Otto Richard, 4th October 2022, written by the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He says, if the donors and original teaching
that one
staff,
has been mentioned by Honorable Koromoi.
I think that's where public service bases it, see? So we want to hear that. But as I conclude, Mr. Chairman, we must make a pronouncement before the 3 ministers leave. Because 2 ministers are with us. 1 minister is in isolation, education.
So my technical people to answer some of the questions here. But colleagues, I want to again repeat. You have invited us here in line with the petition and in line with the advert of head teachers and deputy teachers. I hope I'm clear there. Because there's a second advert, which I'm happy the chairperson of the Committee of Public Service and Local Government did raise. And I hope all of us have looked into that advert. That advert is open. And it calls upon, it is even advertised based on the schools. Which schools, in my considered opinion, is giving priority to those teachers who are in those schools. But for purposes of head teachers and deputy head teachers, this was the position which Education Service Commission did take, and that's why we are here. And I want to invite the permanent secretary. There are other generalities which I'll talk about them, including answering the letter of the president. But for purpose of technical questions, which most of you are raising, I want to invite the PS. She has a big pool of, I came with a big pool of technical people here to respond to some of those issues. I thank you.
Critical and very much on the heart of all of us as adults. Chair and members, one of the things I wanted to mention is what my minister has mentioned, that as you have heard from the Minister Public Service, deputyship and headship are promotional levels. And so you start as a teacher and then you progress. And as my minister has just said, for these very seed schools, the teacher advert was open and it was informing people that please, when you are applying, indicate which school you would want to be interviewed for. And that gives a lot of leverage for these who have been there and who are in the community, recruited for these schools. So that's one. Two, when the advert for head teachers and deputies came in the papers in November, Honorable Ogwang, representing the sector, presented before the floor of Parliament and made it very clear that government takes up schools in two ways. One is grant aiding. For grant aiding, the school is in existence, it's licensed, it's registered, it has been running. It has systems, it has boards of governors, it has everything, and some of them are already in NEB centers. It's a school, but either operating as a community school or as a church-founded school, whoever founded it, but it's there. It's schools. It's a school. It has classrooms. It has everything. So they write, and I have hundreds of those requisitions in the office at the moment. They write requesting that government takes them up as grant-aided. When money is available to take up those schools, then the overarching policy of government, which one of you honorable members reminded us about, of giving the sitting tenant the first priority, works. In fact, in those grant-aided schools, the people are interviewed at the school level where possible. Or they take the whole list and they interview, and those who qualify, they are recruited. However, Honorable Chair and members, the second way that government has been trying to put a school in each sub-county is to do what we call seed school. And seed school, Honorable Chair and members, is where you are coming with a seed of a mango and you got the local government and you say to them, we now have some money to build a school in your sub-county without any government secondary school. So local government, find for us land that is non-encumbered. That's a condition required. So local government deals with its community, or if it has public land, they now say, government, come and build here. So government goes and builds here, builds there. And these 91 schools are supposed to be in that category. Local government said, here is the land for where you can now build for us a school. Now, in those schools, that's where my minister said, in those schools, we build, we equip, then we recruit teachers, And then we say to the community, the seed is planted, now bring your children so that they can harvest for years to come. So those are the seed schools. So the 91 schools we have here were actually seed schools. I've been looking at a list that I've just received here of some of the schools. They were licensed early this year. Some were licensed last year, meaning that they were actually not recognized schools. They were community, they were training children, having them sit maybe in the nearest center, but they were not recognized schools in terms of licensing and registration.
Man. And unfortunately, we are all professionals.
Yes, Honorable.
There are three, even me, I'm giving a category. There is a teacher in Shimoni. He has been at that school and the government. When he comes and he writes, he gives his details, says, where have you been teaching for the last 7 years? Shimoni Dame. Where do you put the first priority for that person? And that's why he's domiciling by then. When you talk about city schools being licensed, you remember at one time you worked with the private schools under USE and we were paying for students. You remember that? The issue here that is causing challenges is that you have been having schools you have been working with, and after turning them into city schools, because when you talk about a new school, I was going to Lyantonde recently, you are building a school around Katov, not so? That is absolutely new. And everything is going to be new. New structures, nothing has ever happened there. So when you call for adverts for that kind of nature, it is not the same as those ones that you have taken who have been in existence for the last 7 years, but having head teachers running them. What we are saying is that you can even use your mechanism to fail them, but let them also have the priority of doing the interview. Very simple. But now I'm asking you, could you stop a teacher who has been in Buganda Road, who has been in Bati Valley, Shimoni, teaching there for the last 7 years, working privately? But in your recruitment, in the case that I've been there, where do you place him first? Because Shimoni is lacking a teacher. And you remember, Madam PS, there is no school that can never be closed. Whether you start tomorrow or next week, and a teacher commits an offense, you can discipline him by stopping him, but the school continues running. So guide the minister as an experienced person on what must happen. Otherwise, you are heading for litigation, and you will not win in that case.
Honorable member, she has picked your
I
point.
think,
Allow her
Madam
to
Chair, that was the
clarify.
clarification.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Saying it's true. When we started USE, we didn't have enough schools for all the children, and government partnered with some private schools. But they had to be licensed, they had to be registered, they had to be schools even then, which were under the P. So, but what we are saying, Chair, is that under the seed school project, you are really looking at a new school. In some of these schools, Chair and members, the school has another name, it was registered under another name, it could be in the same community, but that doesn't become the seed school. So I wanted to say that we have not recruited. What we have indicated here in the Honorable Minister's speech is the worry we have that schools were supposed to start as now fully staffed under government by 3rd. And we are seeing the days running, so we're actually asking a plea that if we could be allowed to recruit, because recruitment has not happened. It has not happened, waiting what the Parliament will actually decide for us to go with. So yes, that's the truth. No, it hasn't started.
Honorable Seung, these people have left us speak. Allow them to speak. Please, no. Continue. Yes, continue. Yes, continue. Honorable Seung.
On this matter, are there schools? Have they opened adverts for those particular schools where the head teachers who are serving and they are missing out for interviews?
You see,
because they are not talking the same language.
Seung.
Mr. Chairman, observe those two
Just
areas.
a moment. When you move on water and you're about to land, You have just a few meters to land. Why? Continue. We are landing safely.
So, Chair and members, what I'm really service, the deputies and the heads of schools in a government system need to have those minimum qualifications, and they should have gone in the system before. In fact, if you are just a graduate teacher and you become now a head teacher, you may not get on the system of public service. It will reject you because you are supposed to have gone through a certain level, a certain process. So, Chair and members, I would like to request that we can go back, and now that you have raised issues that some of these seed schools, which you know as seed schools, have been in existence, we can now go back and check among them if there are some which should be labeled grant-aided because they shouldn't be called seed schools. If they have been existing, then we shall call them grant-aided, but it will be very unfortunate for those local governments to have told us lies. Yes, so, but we can go back, yes, we can go back and see which schools are licensed and registered and are therefore officially existing, and those can have the same treatment as we do for the grant aiding. But otherwise, the rest of the seed schools, I want to request members that you allow us to follow the official process. Otherwise, if you keep going back and forth, you would never succeed.
Yes, are you through? Okay. Yes, Honourable Minister.
Is there anybody who was from our side who was...
Education, then returning money.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few issues which were raised. Number one was that first of all, the applicants are Ugandans, Honorable Chamaswet. Is government having ownership of these schools? Yes, because we are normally, it's a condition, we must have a land title. Do you also have act? Yes. So the question of the wise men coming from the east, that is not mine. That is for all of us.
That is for Honorable Chamaswet.
That is for Honorable Chamaswet. I have picked up, which is a mass colleagues, I have picked up the question of purchase of land by government. This is one I've picked up here for us to follow up. But in where I come from, I think I have donated, the community has donated the land to these seed schools. Now, on the question of I think as far as we from the education side are concerned, one thing we have made clear here is that we are dealing with the head teachers, deputy teachers. We're also dealing with the seed schools in affirmative. And which seed schools, all of us know that we, even me, the constituents I represent, I have seed schools, about 3 of them, which were from 0 to where they are as a seed school. So though they are not part of the advert, but I know when that time comes, I expect to be treated the same way. So for the teachers, I encourage all of us to really look at the advert which was run, which advert I think also it has come to, its time has come that most of the teachers have applied. And when the commission comes here, and I want to thank the commission for the first time for helping us to address the bigger question, which question is, let me apply to go and teach in a school where I have applied for. So the question of transfers, no transfer, that will be addressed. Last but not least, Mr. Chairman, is entirely to thank you. You asked me to bring in issues of corruption. I'll bring them when I come here with the Education Service Commission. I only want to appeal to you, Mr. Chairman, that it was a directive of the chair, who is the speaker, that when agencies of government come to these places, particularly to this committee, we must come with them, because at the end of the day, we are the ones answerable for their what? For their submission. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll come with the Education Service Commission to present the evidence which is available for purposes of what I presented before the House. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Clarification.
Honorable Minister of Public Service vis-à-vis the PS. Yes, Honorable Mugore, you come in.
I come in.
We will be able to handle that at a different level. But for the advert of the teachers, please, the teachers have all applied and we have not given conditions as long as they qualify. Please, let's be clear here. Even being a member of Parliament, there's a qualification of senior 6. A minimum, you either qualify to have senior 6 or you get out. So we were not going to say, because we are all teachers, true, but we must have a base to begin with.
Yeah, but Mr.
So
Chairman.
for this one,
but Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
No, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister.
Microphone, and that was Honorable Mugore. So, Honorable Minister Shadow, please. So, Honorable Mugore, I think you're also going deeper into the administration of the details. I don't think the ones who were taken on, the others who are sharp enough and they have gone and they now measure. Those head teachers that were taken on. So that cause of worry should not come. Yes.
Invitation of where guests is by you and the clerk. The minister is insisting of coming with the Education Service Commission. And that one is now affecting Article 168 of the Constitution.
Honorable Seung.
Why do you want to come with them? We are not inviting you. Now you are trying to direct.
Just a moment.
Please leave Article 168. Yes. No.
Honorable
Why? Honorable Minister, leave us. We shall invite him another day. But he's insisting inviting him.
Excuse me, Honorable Minister
Service Commission.
Honorable Shadow. Honorable Shadow, I want you to have to be a minister of the shadow, the salt of the minister of the shadow. So how will ordinary members, please? Oh, we should look for a shadow chairman and to ensure whether they behave in tandem. Yes, Honorable Minister of Public Service.
Officially, I want to invite you, Mr. Chairman, that tomorrow, HE, the President, and the Minister of Education and Sports, the First Lady, will be groundbreaking at Kibwa Olympic Stadium in Lira City. So on her behalf, I entirely want to invite you, members of the Education Committee, to join us in
when
this
she does not come here to the committee. She has never appeared here.
It is very important.
The minister has never come to this committee. You tell us for groundbreaking, and you invite us for groundbreaking.
Can you
no, that's an attack on us, Mr. No, I'm also minister here.
Can you protect
the minister has never appeared here for 5 years. Now we go for groundbreaking. You not see me there.
Excuse me, Honorable Minister of Education.
Yes.
The Honorable Shadow Minister is the one protecting you, but he's overprotecting you. That's the problem.
No.
No,
the problem is, Mr. Chairman, maybe do you allow me also to say he's out of order? But he's not out of order because he's my good friend. So, colleagues, you're most welcome. I thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Honorable.
For me, I'm now satisfied, and I thank the two ministries for having come out and clarified this. But now my humble request is, can you please expedite the process because schools are starting in a week's time. You know, having an institution without a head is really very complicated.
So whom are you telling to expedite?
I'm calling the ministers, yes. Then the two, Honorable Chair, you talked about the issue of land. Now the case of Kampala. Most of the people don't suffer this. But in Kampala, we don't have that expanse and freedom of where to get land. So government should come in because we are in their need of 10 seed secondary schools in the city. And even now, we are not you remember, Honorable Chair, when I came here and we complained. We can't have land. Secondly, the modality of construction. In the rural areas, we are building horizontal. For us in Kampala, we can't even get that freedom of 5 acres. So all we need
vertical.
But when we get like only 2 acres, and 2 acres in the city, almost you need $1 billion or 2. So I want the government to also consider this. so that we can, one, help the children of Kampala access education. For instance, all the children who sat P7 last year, this recently released exam, we can't take them on in the available 22 secondary schools and only maybe 4 seed schools where really they can afford to attend. So we need money to buy land and then construct. So Ministry of Education should now take this as an affirmative kind of approach and forget about government provide. Mama PS, for me, the local government of Kampala, I can't provide. I don't have that money.
Okay, so Honorable Kabuye,
give me money and we build.
Honorable Kabuye, don't open a Pandora box. So Honorable Ministers, the issue of land, in the long run, you should address it. You will not have this ping pong of seed, not seed, because where you have the authority, if you can afford to have the money to build, you may find that the one for buying land. That's why we're having this. So I would like to thank you very much. The rural areas to get specific schools. We shan't make.
Ekisooka nazze mu komiti eno nga batuyise okulaba ku nsonga zino, naye bw'otunuulira nnyo bannaffe abeemulugunya ensonga emu ze baasinze okuleeta byabadde ate n'ebyettaka byazze. Ekituufu bw'otunuulira districts zonna mu Uganda eziri wabweru wa Kampala b'ekigambo ky'ettaka bakyalina omukisa ogwo, naye Kampala nga ffe tetulina mukisa gwa ttaka. Ettaka onyinza okugaa nti kati saawa eno nga Kampala oba nga KCCA teyinza kugamba nti ninawo yiika 5 ezeetaagisa okuzimbako ettaka omanya essomero. So ebyaffe birimu nti twetaaga buli kiseera mulina okuteekamu ssente. Ate bw'otulina KCCA saawa eno ku bizibu bye tulina, ate ssente ezigula ettaka nazo nzibu. Kyokka nga Pulezidenti yatuwa omukisa n'atulagira era ne Ministry of Education ne ekiragiro ekyo n'ekitwala mu maaso, bo obwiru gye bayita bwire bakkiriza otuwa amasomero. Naye kati amasomero ago lwaki nakati mulaba twamisinze twakoze eki, tetulina ttaka, tetulina tujja yiika 5 kazibe 2. So government kati ffe tugamba bannange nga mu kibuga makyazi nti wano waliwo omukisa guno tugwagalira tugwaniriza, naye obuzibu tetulina ttaka we tukola ki tusobola kuzimba. So kati ndowooza nga Kampala tusaana Pulezidenti nakino agenda ndowooza tugenda kimubulirira mu bujjuvu, tusaana gavumenti ate ffe tukolere mwaka enjawulo etuwe mwaka ensuso nti ffe tuteekewo n'okugula ki ettaka, kubanga yiika 5 kumpi twetaaga obumbi 2 ate nga batuwa obumbi nga 3. Kati ffe sente ziri zitumala okuzimba, naye ekizibu kwe tuzimba tetukola ki. So kati senga gavumenti ekyo nakyo tukiteekamu ne tuzimba. Ekirungi enzimba yaffe yo at least ku seed school emu gye basooka otuwaako, era twebaza Buganda Land Board ni Kansanga eyo kyoba ekitwakimalawo kati tuzimba waggulu, tuzimba zikalina. Era wenjogerera seed school eyo erina abaana abasukka 15,000 era ne ku luno yemu kati ezisinga okutwala abaana ba senior one etwala wakati wa 12 ne 3. Kati ojja kwesanga nti senga government kati eteramu ettaka billion oba kuba kati neetaaga seed school ekitone nnyo 10 buli mu division, ne tumanya nti ku luno basooke batuweeyo billion ekitone nnyo 2 tufune ekifo. Ate era muneffe tetusukka na yiika 2-3 kubanga era tetulina we tusobola kukola ki kugula wanene bwe watyo, ne tugulayo wakiri yiika 3 kakati kana akagenda okujja okuzimbako kagenda okujja. Ate era ffe twakkiriza tuzimbira mu feezi mu mitende mpola ne tusobola okuzimba enzimba yaffe basobola otwala abaana. Naye nga kati saawa eno abaana bangi mu kibuga tebalina masomero, ate nga bambi tebalina mwasirizi, tebasobolagana amasomero agaliwo. Mujjuke tulina amasomero 22 gokka aga gavumenti, naye nakugo kuliko amasomero nga 4 gokka oba 6 agasobola okuyingira mu nteekateeka eno, agasigadde ge gali agabaakola wedda. So nago tetugakola ki tetugasobola. So kyenva ogamba komiti nti bino bano baba kyali mu kukayana kwaba kukunoonya abakozi. Ate ekizibu kyange kirala nnyo, nze sina kizibu ky'abakozi naye ekizibu ky'ettaka kikulu nnyo. Mpozi of course newange Nakaseke naddala Nakaseke Central nebaza Maama Janet yampa amasomero 8 era ndooza yo nakaseke kati ninayo ekitundu kimu kyokka ekitalinamu ssomero ndooza Butalangu Town Council ate naye agenda ddimpa njagadde nnyo naye bw'otunulira Kikamulo ensonga eyo eyaba editicha ebadde etuwobbya omutwe naye ate bw'ogitunulamu ntuufu bannaffe abaliwo bw'otunulira emisaanyizo bayinza okuba tebannabiweza nga tebalina masters biki ekyo tetukinako omutawaana naye kati kitulina omutawaana be basomesa 45 oba 5 abakola kati nze abo kyensaba bajje babakolekaawo kuba twakikikozeeko si gwe gusoose si gwe ogwokubiri n'amasomero amalala bwe gatyo kubeera ninayo n'amalala agajja ne kati no lye liriko ate waliwo n'eddala erikola ki erijja so abaana bwe babawa omukisa bajja batwala gye bulijja ne basooke babawa omukisa tulabe nti n'abaana baffe nabo baganyulwa naddala mu kwewaayo kwe badde beewaddeyo kuba essomero twalitandika ndooza 2015 okwewaayo emyaka egyo gyonna nabo banga abasiimye olw'okwewaayo okwo n'okukola omwoyo gw'eggwanga ne bagamba katubeerewo mu bulungi ne mu bubi tusomese baganda baffe oba ne bato baffe kintu ekyo mba sikinaako mutawaana
ensonga y'akasasiro